Sini, Anni, Sari. Sari. Sorry, we are over time. The floor is yours. Donc, thank you for your patience.
While you are setting up the slides, I can already start. So dear colleagues, we are very happy to join this session from Finland, from the Finnish National Agency for Education. I'm Sini. I'm the international contact point for Erasmus Plus program in Finland, and I have my two colleagues from EduFi with me, the head of Erasmus Plus higher education sector, Anni Kallio, and the head of vet sector, Erasmus Plus vet sector, Sari Turunen-Svinger, as well. So we will present to you briefly the higher education and vet systems in Finland and the international cooperation opportunities. I will also pass greetings from our youth sector colleagues. In Finland, we have at EduFi all the Erasmus Plus sectors under one roof. So we have many wonderful colleagues here working with us with different sectors. So coming from Finland, from the small Nordic country, proud of its education. So very happy to join you here. Just wondering about the slides. Yes, thank you so much, and apologies for the technical challenge here. So we could jump right into the slide 3 on the education system. So here you can see the Finnish education system. As you can see, we have two types of higher education institutions. So universities, research universities, also providing the PhD level opportunities, and then universities of applied sciences, more linked to the labor markets and local opportunities. So so two types of institutions that we have in the higher education level. And then you can see also the vet sector here, but then my colleague Sari will cover those more precisely. And in the next slide, you can see that when we are looking at the higher education in Finland, we have 13 universities and 22 universities of applied sciences. So these two type of institutions, as already mentioned, and here you can see the levels that they are covering and the doctoral degrees provided by the universities. They are all very internationally active and they have a lot of international cooperation. They also all provide degree programs in English. And here I have listed the number of programs provided by different institutions. So at the Universities of Applied Sciences, especially the bachelor degrees programs are provided in English, but also 20 master's degree programs. Then looking at the universities, there are some bachelor degree programs provided in English, but over 100 master's degree programs, and then also, of course, doctoral degree options are available. So the institutions are as mentioned, very active in international cooperation. These various opportunities for international cooperation. We can just see in the following slides some numbers concerning the international cooperation. Here you can see the number of degree students from and to Finland until 2018. Of course, the COVID has changed the situation, but as you can see, there was more than 20,000 international degree students studying in Finnish higher education institutions in 2018. So this is quite a high number, and actually in the next slide you can then see the international mobility periods in Finnish higher education institutions, both from and to Finland, and you can see there that it has been quite balanced. Around 10,000 mobilities to and from Finland annually. Of course, the COVID has also very much affected the situation, and we are hoping to repair that in the coming years. So thank you. So this picture shows the mobility periods, both the longer and shorter mobilities. Then actually in the next slide, there is still concerning the strategic planning of internationalization of Finnish higher education. I wanted to mention that we have this national level strategy, so national level policies to promote internationalization, and implementation and action plan led by the Ministry of Education and Culture. And these are coordinated and followed in the steering and funding process of the higher education, but also in continuous development with the higher education community and stakeholders. And of course, the higher education institution have their own institutional level strategies defining the profile of individual institutions for the international collaboration. And then I pass the floor to my colleague Anni.
Yes, good day. And can you hear me and hopefully see me? Somehow I don't see my own.
Yeah, we can hear you.
But not see me.
And we can see you.
Okay, because somehow my picture disappeared from my own screen, but well, nevertheless, it's best important that you can hear me. Well, yes, yes. So I'm also very pleased to be at your event myself, and so my name is Anni Kallio, and as Sini already mentioned, I'm the team leader for our Erasmus Plus higher education team at this Finnish national agency. So nice to meet you all. So now I will briefly introduce the Erasmus Plus cooperation between Morocco and Finland during the previous program period. And here I focus mainly on the international credit mobility, ICM, because so far there hasn't been any capacity building projects involving Finnish and Moroccan higher education institutions. What I can say is that Finnish higher education institutions are in general very active in capacity building for higher education. So hopefully in the future we will also see projects between Morocco and Finland. So that would be excellent for the future. But here on this slide, regarding the ICM, so the annual budget for international credit mobility for Finland has been some 3.5 million euros. And the Southern Mediterranean region is one of the largest budget envelopes for this region. And here in the blue pillars, you can see the annual budget for South Med region, so some 600,000 euros. And we have been very happy to have Morocco as one of the most important partner countries in these regions. So here the green pillars represent the share of Morocco projects for this envelope. So there they have been, except for 2016, for the other years they have been quite an important part of this region. And then if we go to the next slide, so in total we had 5 Finnish higher education institutions that received funding for the mobility cooperation with Moroccan universities during the previous program period. So later today you will hear a case example from the University of Helsinki with their Moroccan partner university and 2 students. This is a very good case example, but I'm sure that also these other 4 cases would be equally interesting. So we have the 4 remaining Finnish universities are University of Eastern Finland, Aalto University, University of Oulu, and then the most recent beneficiary, Centria University of Applied Sciences, that received the ICM funding in 2020. But of course now with the COVID period, it's most likely that the most recent projects have not been able to start because of the COVID. Then on the next slide, we have you can see the number of the realized Erasmus higher education mobilities between Finland and Morocco. So there have been in total 18 mobilities from Finland to Morocco, and 73 mobilities from Morocco to Finland. But of course here we know that the effect of COVID has taken place, so there hasn't been many mobilities most likely in the past 2 years. But hopefully the mobilities will pick up again. And then as my last slide here. Well, if you just to give you a few tips on how to start a new cooperation, if you would be interested in setting links to the Finnish higher education institutions but don't have them yet. So first of all, what we have witnessed is that it seems to be the best way to launch new cooperation by having first academic interests with the partner institution and, for example, research cooperation in some academic field. So from that basis, it usually is then quite easy then to set up links for mobility, and maybe later on for example larger cooperation projects. And in the Finnish perspective, the use of English language is quite useful. So if you can offer some studies possibilities in English, that helps a lot in setting cooperation fit with Finland, where English is very widely spoken and the most common foreign language. But of course we have some French speakers as well, so not only English. And and then finally I have on the next slide some links, and here is the link to the Study in Finland website, where you can find the details of the Finnish well, you don't need to go there now, but anyways, then if you can then later on have a look at the Finnish higher education institutions. And of course, we here at the National Agency, we are always happy to help if you need more information. So that is all from my part, and then I would pass the floor back to Sari to introduce the VET sector in Finland. Or do we have the youth first, Sini?
Yes, I was going to say that there will be some greetings from the youth sector, but we have here some technical issues, so I'm going to introduce you also the greetings from the youth sector. I'm not sure if you can see my video. I have opened my video now, but I think you can hear my speech at least. But as Sini said, the Finnish National Agency for Education is the national agency for both Erasmus Erasmus itself, and in Erasmus, the Youth in Action activities, and also for European Solidarity course. And we would like to remind you that even though we do not have any colleague from the youth sector with us here today, they asked us to present best greetings to you and to remind about the active international cooperation in youth sector in Finland, and about the TCA visit in youth sector in Finland, perhaps in 2022. There's a question mark, so I'm giving these greetings and this kind of proposal and invitation to you. And then I think we can go further to vocational education and training. So as Sini said, my name is Sari Turunen-Zwinger, and I work in the unit of vocational education and training. And as you heard before, that vocational education and training is a new feature or in Erasmus, in that sense that we can start the cooperation. I don't have that lovely slides about the facts and figures about the cooperation existing already, but I hope that in a couple of years we will have some. But during my presentation, I'm going to tell you something general about the VET in Finland, and also hope that it kind of serves as interesting information to you, and that we could see some staff mobility, student mobility from Finland to Morocco in future, and also perhaps some capacity building projects in vet sector, and also these so-called centers of vocational excellence in this partnerships for excellence, which are quite interesting projects also for the Finnish vet providers. But let's go further. VET is in Finland for young and adult. I have written there that it comprises initial and further training, as it has many target groups. So young people, apparently, of course, but also adults and people in working life who need upskilling or reskilling, people who are unemployed. And when we look at the youngsters after basic education, over 40% of this age group continues their studies or training in vet directly after the basic education. But very many make a detour and they may come to vet later then. And the vet qualifications in Finland, they give for the students, for the graduates, eligibility for further studies, which is very important thing. We keep saying we don't have dead ends, so you can come to vet in which time of your life ever, but also after vet education and qualification, you are able to continue your further studies, as we can see from this picture. We have the qualifications, vocational qualification, 42% different kind of further vocational qualifications, which are already for people who have some working life experience, and the specialist vocational qualification for really the highest, so to say, vocational professionalism. And these are in European qualification framework level 4 and 5. So we can go further. And yes, you can please take the next slide. Here, as I was saying, that we have the lifelong learning opportunities. VET provides lifelong learning opportunities. I think this slide shows quite interestingly how the new VET students, this is now from 2020, which was, well, apparently a different kind of year, but nevertheless, the people kept on learning. And I think quite a lot of adults took the advantage of VET also, but this is really the reality, as you can see, of this almost 130,000 students. Only part of the students are youngsters between 15 and 19 years. And very many then at the later age, and as I said, perhaps already with some work experience, and not only perhaps but definitely, and continuing with this further or specialist qualification, which provides your higher professional skills and competencies. And then we can go further. So we have a network of 146 VET providers. They are mainly municipalities or joint federation of municipalities, and also private organizations like foundations. They have quite a high autonomy of providing VET. So we do have steering and national quality evaluations, but no inspectorate in such. And there is a short information about the state funding. Since 2018, we had a great VET reform in Finland. Well, great, but quite many things were a bit changed. Also, the state funding was changed in that way that it's divided into core funding, performance funding, and effectiveness funding. So it goes in those three parts. So we can go further. And also in this VET reform, we strengthened these principles of vocational training, which existed partly already before, very strongly in Finnish VET. So the content is always competence-based, so that students can acquire their skills in very many different ways, in very many different kind of learning environments. Learning mobility abroad being one of them. And the recognition of prior learning is very important. It is done before acquisition of needed competencies during the training. Also, the individuality and customer orientation is a strong principle. So it's always an individual study path for each student, and career plans are taken into account. And due to this individual study path, that the content and duration of the studies may vary from student to student, as we have a big variety of different kind of students with different kind of ages and backgrounds. Then working life orientation always together with the needs with the working life, for the needs of working life, and also the training in VET providers, it's implemented together with the working life. And in practice, really very big amount of the training takes place in as on the job training in working place. Also it can be a training contract or paid apprenticeship contract also. So very good cooperation with working life. Please, next slide. And about the internationalization, when we talk about that in Finland, we start. It's now, I would say, over 20 years we have been talking, and I will show you shortly the numbers of mobility. We do have opportunity to offer student mobility for learners, and teacher mobility, and also different kind of development projects related to very various themes and issues to be developed. And as you can see on the right side, the needs of the labor market and individuals are here really the target to be addressed in the first place. But also very much we think that the internationalization serves for the attractiveness and the image of VET sector, and also the opportunity to develop and develop the quality assurance in many ways through international projects has been really remarkable in Finland. So we always say that the internationalization in VET has to be interlinked with institutions' own strategic goals and the needs of the labor market, and also the qualification requirements on the national level are include international skills parts. So this is something that gives us a very good starting point, or the VET providers. It gives a good starting point for VET providers for international cooperation and utilization of Erasmus Plus funding. So the next slide, please. So here you can see a little bit sad picture, a bit similar that it was in higher education. The student mobility development, we have had really high level, and the last years before Corona pandemic, we had already slightly decreasing numbers. There were many issues, like I said, a big reform in 2018, and lots to do on national level. The VET providers had a lot to reorganize, but then after that, very sadly, we see that 2020, of course, very few numbers, but we are very sure that we will come high again, and we know that the Finnish VET providers have started the student mobility again, and so far it has been going to Europe with Erasmus, and with some national funding also to some parts outside of Europe, Asia and Japan, for example. But next slide, please. So there you can see the funding of the student mobility. This is from the 2020. Erasmus Plus has been really the most remarkable funding source, and it is there 87% for the student mobility, and it has been increasing really huge over time. In 2015 it was only 60%, and years before it was already only 40%. It doesn't tell only about the increase of Erasmus funding, which is nice, but it also kind of tells that the decreasing of some national or VET providers funding, which could have been, of course, more positive as well. But then next slide, please. There is the staff mobility development. There you can see that from Finland to abroad, it has been also on a very good level, and Finland has been a very interesting country to visit for staff and personnel in VET from other countries. And then my last slide, I suppose, is about the internationalization strategies, because I would like to leave you, if you can change the next slide, please. I would like to leave you, if you don't know it yet, I suppose you might know this link already down at the bottom of the page. You can find a Go International Practical Guide on Strategic Internationalization in VET. This is a guide which you can find on the from the Commission homepage. But this is actually some years old, and it was built based on the work done in the Finnish Erasmus National Agency. So 2014-15, Finnish National Agency started to develop practical guidance and advice and tools how to implement international cooperation strategically into the VET providing programs and development of VET providing, and there this guide, of course, it is built a few years ago, and it is first and foremost based on EU cooperation, but it also takes global aspects into account. And very many, I would say all the accredited Finnish VET providers who are very active in mobility, they have read this guide, and they have the VET providers do have internationalization strategies, even though we do not have that on that systematic level like it was presented in Sini's presentation for higher education. But we do have a very good basement in the Finnish VET providers internationalization work, and a good network providing also information to other VET providers in their networks, both in Finland and abroad. So I think this could be something very interesting for future cooperation between Finland and Morocco, for example, among many other issues which I can believe that you could find for cooperation in different kind of projects. But thank you from my side.
Thank you so much, Sini, Anni, and Sari, for all these very interesting information and sharing. And could we have a promise, Sini? Sini?
Yes.
Could we have a promise from you that any projects, any application of mobility will be funded under the next call?
Well, we can promise that we are happy to support you on launching high quality applications on ICM. That's a promise that we can give you.
Yes, for sure. We'll do our best. I think that we start with a good, some good opportunities, because with us we have Youssef Hamouche from Centria Applied University for Science, and he's already asking and looking for partners from Moroccan universities. So I think that's one of our, objectives that we of this day, but also for the 11th. And I would like to thank you because you mobilized all universities and VET providers to be part of this networking day, the 11th November. And I hope that this year we will have mobility projects, but as well as capacity building. in vet and in higher education, because I think and I believe that we have a lot of things to and expertise to exchange with Finnish universities and Finnish higher education and vet system.